The draw has been made for the 2027 Rugby World Cup, and it's thrown up some interesting possibilities. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. As I said, some very interesting possibilities in this 2027 World Cup, especially involving the two teams over my shoulder here. We'll get to that though in a few minutes. So first we're going to have a look at the actual draw itself, and then we'll go through the possible scenarios after that. So have it here. We got all the pools. So Pool A is New Zealand, Australia, Chile, and Hong Kong, China. Pool B, South Africa, Italy, Georgia, and Romania. Pool C, Argentina, Fiji, Spain, and Canada. Pool D, Ireland, Scotland, Uruguay, and Portugal. Pool E, France, Japan, USA, and Samoa. And Pool E, England, Wales, Tonga, and Zimbabwe. So one thing to note from the last World Cup, Ireland and Scotland together again for, what is it now, 3 World Cups in a row, right? 2019, 2023, and now 2027 as well. So, those two, familiar foes, as it were, in the pool stages. And then we can see as well, the road to the final there as well. So it's going to be the winner of Pool A versus one of the best third places. Pool B against one of the best third places. Pool C runner-up against Pool F runner-up. Then we have the Pool E winner versus the Pool D runner-up. The Pool A runner-up versus the Pool E runner-up on the other side. Pool F winner versus Pool B runner-up. And Pool C winner versus one of the best third places. Pool D winner versus one of the best third places. So what does that mean in terms of possible matchups in the knockout stages? Well, if we have a look at it purely based on the current world rankings and worked it out from there, well, this is probably, this is how it would go. So you would have New Zealand against a third place team, maybe Spain in there around the 16, South Africa versus another third place team, so possibly Uruguay there. Then for the next round of 16 on that side, you would have Fiji versus Wales, and at the bottom of that draw you'd have France versus Scotland. So Fiji Wales, pretty close matchup you would expect, and Scotland would think they have a chance against France, but the top two, you would expect New Zealand and South Africa to progress to the quarterfinals. On the other side of the draw, then we'd have Australia versus Japan. Again, could be close depending on how those teams are going, but you'd expect Australia to come through. England versus Italy, you would expect England to come through there. Yes, Italy could upset them, but you would certainly expect England to come through. Argentina versus Chile is a possibility, and that all South American clash here as well. That would be a great thing to see. And then Ireland versus Georgia is another possibility as well at the bottom of that. And then, for me, thinking about, Ireland, Georgia and Argentina all being close together in the World Cup brings back nightmares of 2007, where it didn't go well for Ireland at all. They didn't even get out of the pool. But you would expect, on that side of the draw, that it would be Australia, England, Argentina, and Ireland progressing. So that would give us then quarterfinal lineup of New Zealand versus South Africa, which is just a mammoth game in the quarterfinal if it happens. Now, that's taking that both teams will win their pools. Now, that didn't happen in the last World Cup, but still at the same time, the pools, should be a little bit easier for the top seeds this time around. You wouldn't really expect, maybe a couple of pools, there could be a bit of a tussle for top spot, but I don't think in Pool A or B, you can see much past New Zealand and South Africa. So very probable quarterfinal between those two. Massive clash in the quarterfinals there. And then at the bottom of the draw then, Fiji versus France is the most likely. Obviously, Wales could improve. But at the moment, Fiji are the higher ranked team, so they would go through on this. And then, looking at the other side of the draw, then you have Australia versus England, which would be, another epic clash there. And then Argentina versus Ireland. And, Argentina always lift their game in World Cup. So if that was, the eventual clash for those two, Ireland better not be counting their chickens, talking about who we're playing in semi-finals and stuff like that, because, Argentina will absolutely kick our ass like they did in 2007 if we, don't treat them with the respect that they're due. And even if we do, they still might beat us. But again, going on world rankings, you would expect South Africa to come out of that clash between themselves and the All Blacks, France to progress against Fiji, England to beat Australia, and then Ireland to make a semi-final, which, for Irish people would be absolutely crazy, the first time ever. But again, it's only based on world rankings, and when it gets to knockout stages, world rankings go out the window. If you don't deliver on the day, it doesn't matter how many places you're ranked above your opposition. If they beat you, they beat you, and there's no like takesy backsies, as it were, on that. But then that gives us a semi-final of South Africa versus France and England versus Ireland, leading to South Africa world number one, so they progress to the final, and then England now ranked above Ireland in the rankings as well, so they would progress ahead of Ireland, and it would mean then a repeat of the 2023 final, South Africa versus England. And we'd expect England to give them a better account of themselves this time around through the tournament, just given how they've been building recently. But South Africa, number one team of the world, is it going to be the three-peat for them? Well, based on world rankings, doesn't matter who their draw was going to be. If you're number one in the world, if you're only basing it on that, well, you're going to be the winners. But who would back against them being able to do that? Like they've shown what a brilliant side they are, and they just seem to be getting better and better all the time. So that's your pools, your draws for the World Cup. Obviously, it's not going to go completely this way. Some of these matchups probably will happen, like New Zealand versus South Africa in that quarterfinal. But there's going to be, expecting that there's going to be a few really big upsets in this as well. And, one side of the draw or the other, because of it, is going to get kind of turned on its head a little bit. And, we're not going to see an easy progression for teams, just based on the rankings into kind of semi-finals and finals, especially for Ireland, who, the ghosts are going to come back to haunt them no matter what happens. They're probably going to, if they make a semi-final, they're going to have to scrape their way through a quarter-final. It's not going to be an easy road for them, no matter who they're playing, I don't think. But already, it's 2 years away, but still just seeing the pools come out just gets you excited about it. And yeah, it's going to be a brilliant tournament, just looking at those pools and some of the big clashes that are going to happen in there, like the likes of England versus Wales in Pool F. Could Wales possibly improve enough to, cause an upset against England? France versus Japan, Ireland, Scotland. Can Scotland finally, get one over on Ireland when it really matters and set themselves up for a possible route to a semi-final? And then, Argentina always seem to deliver in World Cups, but Fiji also raised their game. So that game between them would be brilliant. South Africa, Italy, you can't really see, Italy causing an upset there. But you could see Georgia maybe upsetting Italy if Italy have an off day as well. And just the fact that they're in the same pool there as well will always bring that whole thing of, Georgia being the next cab off the rank for the Six Nations, and Italy being seen as traditionally the weakest team. Obviously, Wales has taken that mantle recently, but that's another big game there, I think. And then you've got New Zealand versus Australia, another big one. Like, Australia, they can beat New Zealand on their day, but they really have to be on their day, and they have to cause New Zealand to have a bad day as well. And depending the way, like, look at the last World Cup, the way Australia can be, they range from potentially being good enough to beat the All Blacks, but also potentially bad enough to lose against Chile. So, that's another big one in there as well. So plenty of possible upsets on the cards. And you've got other teams as well, the likes of Uruguay and Portugal in the Ireland-Scotland pool that could absolutely cause massive upsets there as well. You've got the host nation, USA, who really need to, improve themselves to give a good account of themselves as well in it. But yeah, plenty of, stuff to look forward to that. We've got 2 years to kind of salivate over it as well. But let me know what you think down in the comments.